All right, so definitely there is a cut-off automation, and yes, it's probably three unison voices, and definitely two sounds detune with each other. Um, then yeah, I'm literally going blind. I'm just analyzing the sound because of course I don't have the virus here. And that's another good thing of knowing synthesis. It's just, well, I'm sitting here looking at the file and I'm telling you what pretty much is the sound. Then there is, it's rendered as well because it was a collab. So there is a pretty heavy compression that again you can't really see, but you can hear because the sound is really snappy. That is actually what took this lead took about, I think, 5 to 6 days, if not more, to actually be to actually sound the way I want it. Yeah, again, I'm really picky with those things, and again, those chords were so special for me that I wanted to have the perfect sound. Then yes, there's definitely other sounds. Actually, let me go first into the layering kind of concept, and I'm gonna play for you the whole. Okay, so it's 5 layers. I think what actually makes the chords so big, it's not even the virus, but it's the Moog, which is just the bass, which is this one. And this is like the typical big Moog sound. It's rendered, of course, because Moog is not here. And I think is it what makes these chords so big. Like let me play the chords without this, with first and then without. Like if the sound is not there, you don't miss too much, but at the same time you don't have that big, I think, the push, that thing that pushes out the lead into the chords into a whole different kind of level. So yeah, the first thing I keep in mind when I want to layer stuff is keeping the whole spectrum of frequencies as complete as possible. Of course, there are some times where you don't want to have any bass. You only want to have either high frequencies or mid frequencies. But that's usually for, let's say, a few seconds, like literally 2-3 seconds. After that, the listener will need to hear other stuff. I graduated at university as a sound designer and music psychology, and what pleases, let's use this word, the humans, it's in terms of sound, it's usually the bass. So not having a bass for on a song for longer than 10 seconds, it's usually a bad thing. Let me see if I can. Well, of course, in the intro there's no bass, but let's go to the main part. Okay, sorry, there's still this filter shape thing that really didn't go off. This is one of the reasons to why people hate Logic, because it doesn't do what you tell them. Okay, so now you want the bass. Like you would be like, David, why don't you put the bass right now, right? It's like, come on, it's been enough time, right? So yeah, that's what I try to do when I layer. It's cover as much harmonic range as possible. Of course, in a moment like this, you don't want the high frequency, but I find that it's definitely easier to miss high frequencies because sometimes they are even annoying. It's definitely easier to have a little bit more of automation on the high frequency rather than the actual bass, because people definitely need bass in a song. Um, Also, another thing that it's been done to structure the sound, the cutoff on every synth, it's not a full cutoff on the frequency. If you can hear that there's a little bit of frequency passing through before the cutoff kicks in, and I can do another quick uh, example with silent on how to do that. Uh, by the way, I hope you noticed that this is not cracked, unlike a lot of videos on YouTube. um, so what you do is, okay, let's go from init preset again, our marvelous init sound. Um, Once again, this cutoff comes handy with this kind of thing. So okay, now it closed the sound right away. There's no high frequency. Okay, everything is dark and quite boxed. There's only bass frequency. Uh, a good thing to do to keep a little bit of sparkle in your lead is to assign this cutoff not to an LFO this time, because LFO, it's something that keeps going. It's an oscillation that's always there, and you only want your cutoff to move when you press the button in this case. So you don't use an LFO. You're going to use an envelope, which is going to react to every pressure of the key. So let me do it quickly. It's going to be again cut off, and you will want to put the decay, which is basically the peak of our. It's going to control the peak of our cutoff. That's going to be set by this. And you can hear that now there is a little bit of the full sound that's coming through, and then the cutoff is going to close it. There's a big difference from this to this. So basically, what this is doing is, again, moving the mouse for me by doing this. But it's doing it automatically every time that I hit a button, a key. That's another thing that I'm going to explain. That's going to take a little bit. But yes, it's a send channel because actually it's a reverb that's sidechained by the same chords. So yeah, it's a little bit. It's easier but complicated to actually explain, and I'm going to show you in a second. But yeah, so layer principles for me is cover as many, have as many frequency as possible, and then trying to balance those frequencies with different sound. For example, let's go through the various layers. Maybe let's try to open the cutoff a little bit. As you can tell, this sound is not interesting. I mean, it it completes this sound, but the difference between this one and this one is that this one definitely has more punch, but it's shorter. The other one is a little bit longer, and it's lacking that punch. And what we're going to do is we're compensating that lack with something else. That's basically the reason as to why we layer. It's to create a sound that sounds like one, but it's made out of 2, 3, or in this case 5 different sounds. And yeah, basically it's once again trying to understand what your sound is missing and what you want from your sound. I wanted something big, something really, really punchy. So the first thing I did was definitely the virus. It was finding the right attack on the synth. And then from there, of course, it was like, it needs something bigger. It's not big enough. But if I would open the filter more on the virus, I would lose that punch. So I needed to compensate it with something else. Then, of course, because I'm a trance guy, I needed to put some JP 8000, which is the holy grail of trance music. In this case, is a sampled bass thing. It's just EXS24 playing some recordings from my JP. So you can hear that the sound gets bigger and bigger. All right, then there's another silent. This is probably a little bit of attack. Let's see. No, actually, this is the trick for the sidechain reverb. I'll show you that in a second. And then of course there's the Moog, which is purely bass, and it's just there for this reason. Just make the sound a little bit more rounded, gives that bottom end that pushes everything up, and makes everybody happy because there's more bass.